Hello, my fellow What If students, and welcome to my dojo. I am British Sensei. I want to share with you today a story, quite a long one in fact. It's called What If Deku was the son of Meliodas and Elizabeth. Let's do this. Hello, I'm King Jr. Welcome to the dojo you'll find nowhere else. From Naruto to Dragon Ball and Fairy Tail to My Hero Academia, you can ask me to do anything. Oh yeah, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for amazing what ifs every Monday and Thursday. Now, class is in session. Hop! Just a little recap. Last time, Deku had defeated the villains with some devastating power. When some heroes looked at the video evidence, they also found that Deku was a school savior, and the press accidentally found out about this as well. And at the very end, the UA festival was announced, and the students are now preparing for it. Who will win? Will they be safe? What will happen? These are the questions that will be answered this time on What If Deku was the son of Meliodas and Elizabeth. Okay, let's get started. In the next 5 days, we will be having something called the UA Festival, stated the Razorhead. Deku was getting more and more excited. He didn't even need an explanation. He remembered every year he sat down on the sofa with his mom, watching his future heroes, his role models, walking onto a field, preparing themselves to protect the people of Japan. For the next few lessons, Deku was brimming with excitement. That day they also went to the USJ, but since the villains were still recovering from their latest attack, there was no attack this time. So yeah. As I was saying before, he could barely sit still. Then, finally, lessons finished, and it was time to go home. This time, he wouldn't be the one watching. He would be the one on TV, in front of all the children, parents, the people, finding a new hope, a shield, no, a hero to look to when in times of distress. He sped out, almost falling down flat on his face. When he almost did, he started to float. Uraka, he thought. He turned around to see it wasn't the familiar face of one of his friends. And also, he wasn't floating, but he was being held by his shirt with 2 single fingers. He saw a face of a stranger with stitches and a clear difference of color on his face than on his body. You could have said thank you, victim, he said. Thanks, Deku stated. The man stared at him, and an awkward silence ensued for a couple of seconds. Deku looked down, feeling stupid, but he then regretted not looking into the eyes of the man to check if he was just a normal civilian or a villain. He lifted his head, meeting his eyes. As soon as he did, he saw a story, the story of the man who incinerated lives and left no trace. And at the very end, oh no, that was the worst part. His bloodlust, the number of the great opportunities and life taken away by this one man. The odd-looking person turned into mud and escaped through the tiles, while stating a simple warning. Watch your back. And as quick as it sounded, he was gone. Deku, who was still standing after the whole experience, dropped to his knees. This time, not because of happiness or excitement, but this time, sheer fright. Now, those eyes, that bloodlust, That story was in his head, so clear and vibrant. He even decided it wouldn't be the best to go outside, since a villain might catch him and take him away. Which unfortunately meant he didn't go outside and train that day. But the next day, he got over it and remembered that he had super strong power, and he could beat up any villain which came his way. For the next few days, he found that he could actually fly at will using his newfound wings, and he could also improve his enhanced physical strength, something he thought was already at its limit. One day, he was running around the city and happened to be running around the beach. This time, he saw Bakugo, and he greeted him from quite a distance. He also thought he saw All Might, but it was just an old, withered man, probably Bakugo's grandfather, or mentor in some way. But he wasn't wrong. It was All Might, but this was just a small form. He nearly found me out, stated All Might. Or should I say, Small Might. Bakugo nodded briefly, then continued his workout. 3 days passed quicker than I have ever ate my lunch. Yes, I'm a slow eater. I don't know why I said that. The day had arrived. People were crowding to get last-minute tickets, and the students were preparing for their big entrance. Suddenly, preparing and waiting was turned into action and showtime. Midnight was hosting the whole thing, explained the whole thing. And wow, what a coincidence. They also got the obstacle race. They went onto the balancing ropes, and Deku was trying to find the best possible position to use while traveling from one point to another. And at one moment in time, he turned upside down, and thinking he was about to fall, he grasped the rope too hard, and because of his enhanced strength, he accidentally roped it, and this time he did actually fall. So as he was falling, if you're thinking of this in an anime scene, it was similar to how Naruto was falling when he was going down that cliff thingy, and he summoned that big frog. Yeah, so it was like that. So he was about to panic, but then he thought to himself and remembered that he could actually fly. So he spread out his wings and flew up surface height and sped away to the finish line. As he passed by, he noticed Bakugo's veins were glowing red through his skin. Not just that, but he also noticed Bakugo had got a lot faster. A new quirk? No, that couldn't be possible. Anyway, it didn't matter, because he won that race anyway. But he still pondered at the thought. Bakugo, who had second place, but was still quite far from Deku in terms of time, couldn't help but think, that kid is a monster. Even with this, All Might's power, and my crazy explosions, I still can't catch up with him. All Might, who was watching from the sidelines, was still regretting giving his power to Bakugo. The next race was the cavalry race. This time, in contrast to Canon, it was Deku, Vantablack, Uraka, and Hatsume, the girl who invents things. And believe it or not, I actually made a tactic for this. So, Hatsume, don't know if I'm saying that right, as usual, will be at the back with her boots on. Deku, who has wings and doesn't need the boots, will just be flying. Uraka will have the boots on and will also use her gravity to keep the formation stable. And no, it doesn't stop there. Since Vantablack can merge into anything dark, no matter the proportions and size, Deku can create some darkness, and Vantablack can just move into it and keep hidden. So this is what they did, and for the whole time they stayed in the air, which was unfortunately their biggest mistake. After a while, Uraka lost control over her beats, which caused them to plummet down to the arena. However, Deku used his strength to prevent them from hitting the floor with impact, before settling them on the ground. Vanta Black came out and waited for midnight to end the event. The time was just about to finish. There was about 3 seconds left. Ida, who was watching from afar, saw this, and let's just say he wasn't planning on missing any chances. He used his retro burst and attempted to grab the headband, but something went wrong. He saw a green flash and then an explosion, and the headband was gone. "Time is up," said Midnight. Everyone stared at Bakugo, gobsmacked. His legs were steaming, and they were broken. Ida had the most shock out of anyone there. His retro burst that he had trained months and months to master had already been beaten on its first public appearance. The winner is Bakugo's team. Bakugo went inside for treatment and shouted the words he had always wanted to say. "You watch, Deku! I will be stronger than you in no time!" The green-haired boy won every single match after that. But the words were always in his head. When it was his turn to fight Todoroki, the words were just too loud, and he gave up, which means that Todoroki didn't even use his fire. Yeah, so at the end, Deku got 3rd place, but just wasn't feeling it. He wasn't feeling happy at all. Bakugo was 2nd, and since he was a little bit above Deku, he was less prideful, and in 1st place was Todoroki, since in this timeline he won against Bakugo. Yeah, so that's that. Just move on to the next page. Yeah, so as I said before, he wasn't feeling it. Something was bugging him. The crowd was going wild, but then suddenly it went quiet. Deku, who was confused by the sudden silence, looked up to see that the crowd was sleeping. People sprang from the sleeping crowds. "Did you really think you could scare us off and get away with it, Deku, or should I say Archangel?" said a familiar figure with hands grappling his limbs. All Might was about to come down from one side of the stadium, jump down, this time not awarding the kids, but landing a blow on the back of a villain's head and sending them to the ground. "Have no fear, I, All Might, am here." By this point, All Might's curiosity was just getting the better of him. So he asked the man, "Have you by any chance heard the name Nana?" "Oh, say anything but that name. That wretched woman did nothing apart from leaving me with things people call family. Because you reminded me of her, you shall die here and now," replied the villain. So then the heroes and the villains clashed. All Might took on a load of villains. So was Deku and Bakugo, who had come back from his treatment, and all the Pooh heroes who were still awake. Fighting tirelessly for a long time was starting to become a burden. So Todoroki went back to the entrance of the stadium to call some of the other heroes. But a villain blocked his way. For some reason, he looked kind of familiar. He had stitches on his face. That wasn't familiar, but his face and his hair kind of as well, even though it was black. But he dismissed the thought again. This was a matter of whether he would be able to win against the villains or he would fail. So if he had to fight this person, then that is what he had to do. So he went, and the two of them clashed. This time, Todoroki used his fire because it was the most powerful of his sides, and yeah, he had to use it this time. So Todoroki uses fire. Deku, who was still fighting, was grabbed by his neck, and he was turned around to see a doctor. The doctor, who said he was crickless. This time he had goggles on, and he looked more evil. He was about to say something to the doctor when nets were casted perfectly over the villains, almost catching Shigaraki and the man with the stitches on his face. But just like the last time, they escaped, and they were going to come back bigger and stronger. Yeah, so that is the finale of What If Deku was the son of Meliodas and Elizabeth. Thank you for watching. I've got a Discord down there, so go check that out. My sister's also got an account, a channel, so you can go check that out. And we've also got a lifehack channel. Yeah, so lessons finished. Peace out. Precision say bye bye everyone. Yes.